Okay, so here is the Printmaking for Fun print, which was done live last night on Instagram. As I said in the actual live stream, my internet was not working for 2/3 of the day, and it decided to cut out when I was trying to upload the film onto Instagram. So for this first one, sadly, it's not available on Instagram, the actual film. So I'm going to go over now, for those who missed the film, because I've had one or two requests, to just go over how this was done. Bear in mind this was done in half an hour. I had plans and ideas of approximately how to do the print, but I had never actually done it on paper, because the reason being is I wanted to show you how things can be done in printmaking quite expressively, quite freeform, without too much planning, and you can come up with some really interesting results. I had a still life, which you've seen on Instagram, sort of a pot plant, a space rocket, a model house and a cabbage. There was a chilli, but I decided to cut that out due to time. I started with the flower pot in the background, and that's just a piece of sort of peach coloured collage paper with some tissue paper stuck on top, and on the tissue paper I printed some sandpaper to give it that texture, and it sort of just knocks it back, gives it a sort of terracotta vibe. The little, apologies, these bits here, those sort of arms, they are made from torn up old lithographs on Japanese paper, which I just sort of tore up and added to give the impression of the succulent. And the little sort of, these little bits here, I'm still wet, those little bits there, they're the edge of a cork, which I inked up in green ink and kind of rolled over the surface to give the energy of the little succulent plant. We then moved on to the house down here, which was printed with corrugated cardboard and some sort of yellow ochre ink. I cut that directly and just stamped it onto the paper. All of this is done without a press, so it's all involving stamping, hand printing. The house itself, as I say, corrugated card, and then I added some black to add an idea of shading, so I gave it on the sort of the right hand side there and on the roof. The yellow windows were tiny bits of, again, yellow old prints, I think have to be a lithograph again, which I then just added a little bit of black for the windows. We then moved on to the fantastic space rocket, which in life was a papier-mâché space rocket made by me and my 6-year-old daughter, and it was covered in gloss varnish. It was very shiny and very thick and very bobbly. And I cut out a mask from tissue paper to the shape of the space rocket and laid that in position. And that allowed me to then basically use a scrunched up piece of paper dipped in some crimson ink, crimsony dark brown ink, to add that kind of base texture you can see around the edge of the space rocket, to give it that sense of mould, and not mould as in fungal growth, as in moulded papier-mâché knobbliness. I then used the same mask and I rolled over the whole thing with some straight up poppy red, which was on just a printmaking roller, mask still in place, and rolled over the whole thing, protecting the two wings with further bits of tissue paper, and that gave a red all over. I took some of the ink off the roller so it wasn't so thick, and it added a transparent quality. The two wings were done with a blend on my roller, a stripe blend, so a dark blue green and a sort of limey green, and I just literally rolled them using masks again to protect other parts of the print in position, and adds, I think, a really nice graphic quality, which I do like. And finally we then worked, and the window was done with the cork, good old cork, and then onto the cabbage in the front. The cabbage was, let's get that in focus, the cabbage was done with the cabbage. I'd cut it level with a knife earlier in the day, so it'd been drying for about 8 hours, because any moisture in vegetable prints prevents the oil-based ink from sticking to them, sticking to the vegetable print. So that was a purple ink, rolled onto the cabbage and stamped, and then as a sort of final cheeky, which actually really adds to it, cheeky bit on the cabbage, I had an old lino cut. You can kind of see those marks there. That's these ones here and there. It was an old lino cut, which I just cut up and inked up slightly paler lilac and added that on top of the cabbage. And there we go, that was done in half an hour. first one, so bear in mind obviously the technical hitch of my internet cutting out and self-annihilating itself. So it didn't go on sadly onto the Instagram feed, the live video, but this is at least given people who missed it a chance to see what we did. As I say, this print is, if you so wish, if anyone does wish to purchase it, it's all going to £35 for the Big Issue Foundation, 100% of profits. You know, this is a non-profit exercise. I'm doing this for fun, printmaking for fun. And the next one will be, I haven't decided, in a week or 2 weeks. And that one, hopefully I'll have a better stream of internet. Whee! So I'll be able to have the actual video as well. So there we go.